Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to the worst reviews ever. It's your boy Sophisticated Jerk. I got Amazing in here. So today, man, we're gonna go over this movie, Him, the one with Marlon Wayans. So let me go ahead and pull up the slides real quick, do a quick breakdown, we'll review the trailer, and then give our ratings and stuff. So Him is a 2025 American supernatural horror film co-written and directed by Justin Tippin. So the plot on this one is a young athlete descends into a world of terror when he's invited to train with a legendary champion whose charisma curdles into something darker. So the directors and producers, again, directed by Justin Tippin, produced by Jordan Peele, Win Rosenfield, Ian Cooper, and Jamal Watson. So shout out to Jordan Peele. It definitely had his feel to it, his his type of movies and stuff. So let me go ahead and jump into the cast and for this movie. So cast Marlon Wayans as Isaiah White, Tyreek Withers as Cameron Cade, Julia Fox as Elise White, Tim Heidecker as Tom, Jim Jeffries as Marco, Maurice Green as Malik, Indria Wilson as Yvette, Jerome McKinley as Drew, and Heather Lynn Harris as Jasmine. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and watch the trailer. Then we'll jump into the ratings. And I'm definitely waiting for Casey Fred's rating on this one because I know he's a football fanatic, but he also hates horror movies. So we're gonna see what he's about to get this one.
Do I look at you or the camera?
You'll just look right at me. You'll just ignore the camera.
Okay.
There. Quarterback. I can already see it now.
White himself. Care to elaborate?
I want to be the GOAT.
Cameron Cade. Great meeting you. I'm a fan.
That's crazy. I damn near worship you growing up.
Who are you?
I'm him.
Who are you?
I'm him. My time.
Let's play a little catch.
We going to the
You want to play at your highest level? You want to be a legend? Let me tell you something. This ain't a game. Who are they? Just gonna toss the ball around a little. You wanna hit this? You can't handle it. I understand. Oh, too slow.
Wait, what are we doing?
That man's smile about to be on the floor. This is how you do your teammate?
What is this?
Set hard! Eagle notes, enemies, set hard! Set hard! In this game, violence is rewarded, so learn to enjoy it. Get your shit together! Activate my hit!
Cam, are you okay?
I think something's off.
You don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Now we playing some football!
Don't have to do this.
Activate my hit!
I've never been more certain of anything in my life.
And how bad does Cameron Cade want it? I ain't a killer, but don't push me.
I'm not just gonna give it to you. You got to take it from
I
me.
ain't a killer, but don't push me.
What if I say no?
Run. Think of it as a gift from the God. Killer, but don't push me. So what are you willing to sacrifice?
All right, let me pull up the rating slide. So okay, we're gonna start with Amazing and work our way down. So Amazing, what's your rating for this movie?
I like the rating scale. This is new since I've been here last. So I actually was all set to give this a 1.5 to 2 the other day. But that's only because I must have dozed off and just seen a section of it and then just dozed off again. So I was able to watch it in its entirety today. And I'm actually going to go with a 7.
Oh shit! Okay, so amazing. She's gave it a 7. That's right in between good and very good. So all right, Wally, what's your rating for the movie?
I gave it a 6.
All right, so Wally got it in between average and good. Casey Fred.
Man. All right, so let's just put this in perspective, okay? Football is the game that I grew up with that I literally love. And it was like any given Sunday meets Freddy Cougar. And I literally, like, there's no way. Let's just keep it 100. I gave this sucker a 3.
Okay.
I gave it a 3. And the funny and the crazy part about it is, when it first started and everything, I said to myself, "Okay, this is about to be good." But when old boy with the horn showed up to go ahead and put in that work, and next thing you know, he got staples in his head pretty much for the rest of the show. That's when I knew right then and there this is about to be all downhill. And so after that, it just started getting psychological. And then after at the end, it started getting very, very physical. And I said, you know what? That's a wrap for me.
So you're giving it a 3 though?
A 3. All
right, so
3.
Casey Fred.
And there's room to go down. So be careful what y'all say to me, okay?
All right, so Casey Fred gave it a 3. That's in between terrible and bad. And I got to give this a 7.1. Very good territory. So I'm going to let Amazing go first. Hold on, let me pull up the questions. I'm slacking.
Okay. I gave it a rating. Like I said, I was set to actually give this movie a much lower score. But then when I was able to actually watch it in all together today, I did think it was good. So what I really, let's see, I would recommend the movie. What I liked about the movie and what I thought about the plot and storyline is it took into together like so many different areas. I think how people become like these little cult worshipers depending on what they want, and then they try to justify things. Like, so for the movie, Cam starts as off like a tiny little kid watching football, and Isaiah's the hero of his whole family. Like the whole family's into football. They all think Isaiah's the GOAT, and then they're watching him. And so I like the way it started off as like Cam being this little kid watching football with his family, and they're all excited because Cam makes a touchdown. I'm assuming something happened that everybody's like super excited about, or Isaiah on the TV. But Cam right away notices like he literally has an open fracture on his leg, and you can see the bone sticking out, and the whole family's still like super excited. Like I forget, like Glory's pain, or this is what it takes a real man to sacrifice. But it's just like so crazy because it just even made me think about how I think probably little boys specifically kind of are just in general brought up to like play through the pain and play when you're sick, and who cares what it costs. And I'm like, this tiny little fraction of kids actually grow up to be something professional. But specifically for boys, it seems like it's just like so much pressure just to keep going at whatever cost. And then when everything's happening, it's like Cam has all this stuff in his head from when he's growing up, and it reminded me of like just like how somebody's surroundings impacts them, and how they just justify wanting more and more and more and being better and better. And it was so toxic. Like like stuff he was doing was so toxic. And even when it started being like super weird, like when he first started going into, so he has this injury, they think it's career ending. Isaiah also had the injury, so he gets invited to this compound. They get to the compound. There's all these super weird cult-like people. I would have turned around right then. Those people were weird and scary looking. And you can tell right then he's thinking like, this is weird. And they're just like, oh, that's just crazy Marjorie. She looked like a vampire. I honestly thought this movie might be going into like vampire territory with as pale as some of those people were. Then you get into this training camp, which again has all these weird cult people basically doing absolutely anything Isaiah tells them to do and worshiping him. Isaiah even says, hey, you've heard the saying God family football. I'm like football family God. Like everything is just like all these red flags. But because Cam is like so obsessed with being the GOAT and has been trained like that since he was this child, he just keeps like justifying it and letting it go. And then it like starts off like these little nuggets. Like first you see Isaiah getting a little bit of blood and he's like, oh, it's a booster. Well, technically, if you think about it, right, like if somebody's hemoglobin is low, they are weak and the blood helps. So you kind of justify that a little bit, like, oh, okay, makes sense. Extra blood, you get some oxygen in your cells.
Hell.
You know, I'm just saying, like, you got a GI bleed or something, you get a little blood, it gives you a boost. So, like, you can think, like, yeah, people get blood. But then they start going into total weird category. They're drinking it. He's having all these weird visions, and then he's trying, you know, like, is it the concussion? Is it not? He's, again, like, justifying all this crazy stuff. So I did think it just like the whole plot of greatness and do what you have to do to be great, and like power and fame and attention. I thought it was all good. I like the storyline again, but I feel like you have to watch beginning to end, and you really have to pay attention, because I actually my phone had pinged and I looked down at one time, and I had missed something, and thankfully I like was alerted that I missed it, because that would have been a good thing. So you have to pay attention to this movie to pick up everything. Some of the scenes again that stuck out to me, probably the main scene that stuck out was the very beginning scene when you see Cam as a child basically having it drilled into his conscious, saying like, hey, you got to be great. This, pain is great. And you see Isaiah with the bone sticking onto his leg, and the dad's like, yes, took one for the team. I'm like, what in the world? Then that scene stuck out for sure. And then the scene when the one like fan or whatever he was getting beat in the face, and it was kind of like showing Isaiah first, like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like, my guy over here is like dying, and it's kind of all up to him. So he's like a little more morality struggle, I felt like, right there. I thought the actor was main actor were super good. I said earlier the ghosty pale people. The wife, Isaiah's wife, I literally felt looked like the when one of the Wayans brothers was on White Chicks. Did she look like the wife reminded you of, like, back then? I was like, wait a minute, is that him dressed up as a white chick again? Because that's what it reminded me of. She was crazy, but then this scene when he kind of overcame everything, took them all out. Obviously that was a good one. What would I change or do differently? So there apparently, I hope I don't steal anybody's thunder with this. Apparently, if you went to the movie theater, there was alternate endings. I would have made those available on Netflix and not by having to pay for them because I would have liked to watch the alternate endings personally. That's what I would have made it free of charge. But yeah, I thought it was good. I thought the overall concept was good, but you have to watch it from the beginning to the end because like I said, I kind of jumped in the middle and I was set to give it a 2, and then my whole score changed when I watched the whole movie.
Okay. I think I had to nudge you there though, because you were on some like, and I was like, nah,
That's why
there's
I
a.
only watched a little piece, but when I watched it from the beginning, you were right.
Okay.
You like that? You were right. You were right.
Hey,
All right, let me get Wally in there. I do kind of want to cook, but I'm gonna let Wally. I'm gonna let Wally get up in there because you guys are missing some of the plots, the deeper meanings of this movie.
It's funny how he says that only to tag me in, like he knows I'm about to say this. Like, okay. Like literally,
I don't want to take them all up. I wanted to leave some for y'all.
Well, you may as well, because let's be honest, there's nothing more to say on this thing. Look.
Nah, there's a lot more. See, I'm about to go, Wally.
Yeah, you about to go. I'm about to hear this. Oblivious. Yes.
Go ahead, Wally.
Look. So for me, my rating, I gave it a 6. Why I gave it a 6? First and foremost, I like to sit here and say this. I'm sick and tired of y'all mofos out here that be marketing these movies being one thing and it ain't nothing. Take the horror out of it. You should have just called it a psychological sport drama. That's what this shit was at the end of the damn day. I didn't feel no horror. This was not on the level of Exodus. No. I didn't feel no horror. Any single time one of those little motherfucking people or the little minions came through, I didn't feel no horror for none of this. Like, it was definitely graphic, but horror, no. No. Sell me on something else. 2, honestly, like literally, I watched this movie in the morning before I left to go handle some errands. Honestly, this movie couldn't grab my attention for me to even care. So serious. Movie could not even grab my attention, even care. At the start, like, yeah, it was nice starting off, because you're trying to get into the flow of things, trying to see where things are trying to lead to. You're getting how this whole process going and how this all leading up. But it's like right as you're getting to the point of like, okay, the kid's older, and to find out the father passed away, which we all find out how that happened, and everything else that translute, it's like, okay, typical young kid going to college, blase, you're about to be touted for being a top star possibly in the draft. You're going to go through combines. You got your friends, you got your family, you got your girl, going through these parties, going through the mood swing. I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, then eventually we get to the real shit. And then it's like, okay. So from that layer of everything else that's going on in the beginning, it's like, can care less to some degree. Then it got to like the more graphic and the symbolicness of this whole thing. And it's like just seeing what had to be done just to quote unquote acquire here. Look, one thing's for sure, I say it like this, right? I gave it a 6 mainly because I'm not saying like the movie was entirely trash, but I'm saying like, because there are definitely some deeper like intel messaging in this movie for sure. In the gratifications of what are you willing to do and what are you willing to quote unquote, what is true sacrifice to you when it comes to doing something and achieving something? And then who do you do it for, honestly? Neither is it really for yourself or is it really because of others? Because I ain't gonna lie, let's be honest here. The parents are doing the typical parent stuff. They're making one person take their whole family to the next level, knowing that that's not more likely what the kid wanted in the first place. Like they literally abused that motherfucker just to get to where they want to get to. Yeah, we see how that goes. Trauma, all that other stuff, all in our lines in between. But yeah.
Tell us, was the mom involved though, or just the dad?
The dad pushed it, the mom encouraged it. Both. There is no either or. I just want to make sure, because you asking now. I want to make sure you understood this.
Well, I just didn't know. Like, I'm like, I agree. The mom definitely encouraged. I didn't know she realized like he was literally being set up since.
I mean, don't get me wrong, right? Eventually, when the mom's like, when he got to the part of the injury and the you know, the stitches and everything, of course the mom was like, you know, are you sure you want to go with this stuff? But I'm saying, like, towards the beginning, that was the encouragement part. So
yeah,
again,
but do you think she knew about, like, I feel like it was literally a pact with the devil. Like, did she know that?
no, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that part, that's a whole different thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, at the point of the stitching, that's where it changed. But I'm saying at the beginning, the very beginning, again, trying to ride the wave. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I definitely think she encouraged. I don't think that she realized there was like this pact since he was like when the picture.
That part I'm not judging on. I'm not judging her on. That's what I'm trying to say. When he got the stitches, that's when she switched up. I'm saying at the very beginning. Again, that's what I'm framing. That's what I'm framing. So, but yeah, but lingering into like okay, when he got to that section with Marlon Wayans and you know all that. Now, definitely for sure, this was like a whole nother level. I say it like this: the movie definitely had multiple different intricacies. You could take it however you want it, right? It showed a lot of different wavelengths of what it means to be a young man growing up. What did that look like when it comes to your masculinity, where it can be seen as toxic or when it can see as just male growth, however you want to take it. Because again, a lot of people want to dictate what is toxic, what is, you know, just or traditional masculinity. Again, look at it how you wish to look at it. If you ain't a man, if you ain't going through the mood swings, if you ain't going through the dealings, shut the fuck up. Because literally, a lot of people want to quote what it takes to deal with amongst being masculinity, but personally, some of y'all just need to sit the freak back and stay on the sidelines. If you ain't dealing with it, if you ain't in the body of it, if you ain't in the mental of it, shut up. Because literally, you won't be able to speak it. And personally, most of y'all that ain't, and y'all know who I'm talking about, y'all don't even give a fuck. Because y'all switching it and flipping it and throwing it right back at him anyways. So shut the fuck up. With that said. But yeah, but this definitely showed a lot of different intricacies. It definitely did. It just like, again, it's like as much as I would love to spew on those intricacies, this movie didn't caught my attention enough for me to stick to it. But at least one of the biggest one that I could say to this movie was more so of the impact of the ownership and what it means to quote unquote sell yourself to be successful. Because let's be honest, when it came to the idea of signing said contract and coming into the organization and everything, and the idea of you were groomed into being in this role, meaning you couldn't even be you. You were pretty much selling out yourself just to be a poster boy for someone else. The image, the look, just the whole shebang, just be somebody else. You're not even truly being you when it comes to being a star or a star athlete or anything like that. You're really selling yourself to being someone entirely different because now the business model isn't really you being a sports star. I mean, it's part of it, but it's not ultimately being a sports star. Is you being their guinea pig for the bigger picture. Because when you really think about it, the way how they sell you on a magazine, the way they want to frame you, the way they want to make you look on things of that nature, like just the whole shopping of it. They really just shop you in more ways than one because you're bringing revenue back to them in more ways than just sports. You're the image, you're the look, you're the little model that they're shopping out to the world. So they definitely showed a lot of things to that. And it's like, how far are you willing to sell yourself before you ultimately sell everything of you? And you just have no regard of yourself at all, of who you are, what you stand for, everything. So, you know, and I think towards the end, when you saw him really like say F the contract and start slicing up a lot of the people, that's when he's like, screw this, I want out. And it's like he just dropped everyone left and right. Except for the chick. She dropped herself after that dumbass dress. So I literally questioned, did she stab herself or did he throw the knife and just jabbed her right in the throat? Because I was like, wait a minute, what happened here? I hear this clumsy. I was like, okay. But yeah, so it was definitely one of those things that you really have to be like, yeah, it's definitely thought provoking. I wish it was just done better. That was pretty much the main other thing, but it was definitely thought provoking. But with that said, Marlon Wayne, if you ever see this, right? Understand. Yes, you lost to anime. There was a reason why. Bad freaking marketing. Literally, bad marketing. Literally. You didn't sell no horror. Bad marketing. You lost anime for a reason. But look, plot, storyline, again, decent for what it was. Like I said, I wish it was better. What were the scenes slash actors and actresses that sticked out? Definitely Marlon Wayans definitely stand out. The young boy, forming to being an older man and how that visual was being implemented. Granted, I mean, I know the father didn't really play a lot of roles, but personally, because of that archetype of a father where you're selling the visuals and you're selling the mentality, he may have played a small role in that, but that actually is important because in a lot of cases you have to ask yourself, right? So I know there's studies out there and a lot, and they really studied the idea of when kids listen to their parents, like how one vocalize from a male, so when a father vocalizes something to their kids, it's something that is so adherent, and then somehow when it comes to a mother vocalized to their kids, is not as hearing as what they're hearing from the mother, right? That's what a study has said. So, the fact that the encouragement, the psyche, everything that the father was instilling to the boy, and him being able to take that and then multiply that into where he is as a grown-up at this point of being a young athlete, even though knowing he had a past and he had to still carry that image, carry the idea, carry the mission, that still shows a lot of determination and everything else. So, knowing that it's still good teachings, even though, again, you can question if it was toxic, all that other stuff, everything else, because of the mentality that you have to endure in putting into this, instilling in the mind of the boy. But again, the fact that you put the vision, you put the mentality, you put the discipline and all that, and he ends up being it, that sells. And that is standing on something one way or another, however you want to look at it. So yeah. But ultimately, if I was the director or the producer of the movie, what would I do differently? Like I said, I definitely take the horror out because I just hate bad marketing of movies. Like don't be selling people these horror stuff. But other than that, honestly, I wish there was so much more. Like I think honestly, killing the father wasn't really the move. I think I rather would have loved if they had kept the father, and then there was a pull between what the father was trying to keep in mind of the son, but then it's showing that tug and pull between listen to what your father's telling you, only to find that separation of end up listening what the big hats are telling you, and see how that played out. I think I would rather see that a little bit more in there, because of course that's more driving the psyche of it all. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's time for the jerk to cook. So what did
Wally did a mic drop. He went off camera. He said his business, and then he's like,
he sure didn't.
Hey, I just came in real nice, quick. I didn't really want to sit on this real quick.
Well, thank you for gracing us.
So
simple days.
All right, what is your rating and why did you give it that rating? I gave it a 7.1 because I thought this was a good movie, man. I think it had a lot of layers of things that's going on, because they use sports, football to drive some of that dynamics, but I think this applies to all of society, because I think in society, man, a lot of times I think this movie was good because it captured how we misprioritize things in our lives. So we'll put athlete stars on a pedestal, people damn near worshiping. So, you know, I like how they capture the fans in there. You know, fans is short for fanatics. So, like, a lot of times people take it to the extreme where they're damn near like cults. Like, they don't see no wrong in celebrities' ways and stuff. They'll justify the bad behavior. You know, think about it. Like, we'll have like teachers that are mentoring people. We'll put them at the lower tier of society. They make the lowest ones, even though they probably have the biggest impact. But, you know, athletes nowadays, they making like 50 million a year. You know, they billionaires now. So I like how they capture that dynamic in the movie where it just showed like the fans were willing to do anything, and they made it a little like cultish, and it kind of has some resemblance like in real society and stuff. So you had that dynamic. You had the dynamic where like Wally and Amazing touched on, you know, what are you willing to do to win? So they definitely captured that in the movie. But, you know, even I think in a slick way, they were showing like, you know, people using roids and stuff, taking the shortcuts, pushing their bodies to the limits. And, you know, a lot of that stuff, I like how they, in Marlon Wayne's character, Isaiah, even though he became the GOAT doing all these like tactics, it was like it has a shelf life. And it's like eventually, you know, you're going to lose like that status. You know, you're going to be on the tail end of that. So it's like he had to fight to try to retain it and stuff. You saw the competitive nature when he was like starting to mentor that person, but you could tell like he really still didn't like that person because he still wanted to hang on to his glory days and then want to leave that like, you know, prime that he was at and stuff like that. So I like how they kind of capture that. Then I think there was also some things with football with CTE, because, you know, like a lot of them football players, man, they be pushing themselves to the limits, dealing with all the pain. And, you know, when he got hit in the head and had that concussion, you know, he kept on going in and out and stuff. So I think they put a little bit of that in there. Then also, you know, that high society stuff, we be hearing all the, shout out to Mr. Fantastic, he be talking about the tinfoil stuff, but, you know, like Illuminati and those people in high up, they do those like humiliation rituals, and, you know, people be selling their soul just to make it to the top. So they kind of capture that in the movie also, where, you know, they just, everything's like a game to them. They like controlling people. So like what Wally was saying with the contract thing, like sign your contract. And then the dude started talking, well, I'll kill your, you know, he was like, I'll delete your family if you don't sign off. And he was like, oh boy, you know, so he started using that terminology, like, you're nothing to us. We kind of own you. We had this all played out. So I think a lot of times some of them people, elitists, kind of get that mindset where it's like, you know, everything's a game to them. And it's just, they won so much in life. Like they trying to control everybody. But towards the end, he kind of just bucked the system because he was like, you know what? I'm not doing none of this. He snapped like when they said like his family and called him a boy and stuff. He was like, oh, okay. So y'all thinking y'all got everything. Nah, let me turn the tables on y'all. So it showed like with his dad, even though his dad pushed him to the limits, made him like tough, he also made him mentally tough, where he was able to use that what his dad taught him to like fight back against the system and not be, you know, fall into the temptations and stuff. Cause, you know, it had all the temptations in there. It had the success, the wealth, the women. They threw all that at him, and he was still able to overcome that because of what his dad taught him when he was young. So it did show what like Wally was breaking down, like how you're raised with certain things. Like I think sometimes people look at like, you know, that mental toughness and that what you put yourself through. That's actually like strengthening you in multiple ways, just by not only physical, but it's teaching you how to like, you know, fight back against other things. So that's kind of what his dad was teaching him. Like, hey, man, you could be a winner, but you don't have to take these shortcuts, and don't sell your soul to do it. If you're just like a good player.
Dad sold his soul to do it.
Nah, that's what they said to trick him, but that wasn't necessarily what his. Yeah. So. Nah, his dad didn't really sell him. I think they were just saying that to get him to do any tactic to try to get him to sign off on that thing and stuff.
Yeah, they literally killed the dad.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, so, you know, like he took that piece regardless. Say even if the dad did, he still had the intestinal fortitude to like even buck his dad, which is even stronger at that point, where he was like, nah, I ain't got to do what they say. I'm going to go my own way. And I think that's one of the hardest things to do as a man, is to form your own path sometimes, go against the grain, you know, pivot from what everybody else is. I always like that diagram, that picture where it has like everybody going to the right, and then it goes out, it shows that one person, you know, walking to the left. So yeah, I think man, you could be like a leader by yourself. You don't have to go always like follow the pack. So I think the movie was kind of like that. Also, it's like, hey man, sometimes you got to give up like your dream and find another path, man. So you don't fall into like that pit of like, letting yourself go, trying to be this person and stuff, living up to the standards that they setting. So nah, man, all the dynamics in there, like I said, it had like the demonic stuff that was going on. We hear about like those Diddy parties and Weinstein, them type of people, what they were doing to people. Like, hey, you want to get a role, you got to do this.
Epstein files.
Yeah, those and stuff. But it's just like, a lot of people, they didn't have the strength to like, say fuck them careers, and they went down them paths and stuff and got sucked up to all those allegations. So with this guy, he was like, nah, I'm not going down that path. Like, I'm gonna actually destroy it. So nah, I think they were like capturing a lot of that stuff in this movie. So yeah, when you look at all them layers and stuff, I thought it was a good movie, a good concept. Then at the end, they were just like, all right, just to put the cherry on top, they're like, we're gonna let my man wipe out everybody. But the couple of scenes that stuck out, definitely the one with that football was hitting that guy in the face. That was definitely Russ, because they put my man to the ultimate stress test. But the funniest part was when when he got to that guy's house, Isaiah's house, and then they was like, all right, man, you need to strip down. And he was like, man, you one big light-skinned Negro. So I thought it was funny when they was just like talking mess and stuff. So nah, they definitely had the shit talking. And then, like I said, as the movie gradually went on, they had the weirdo stuff. So for me, would I recommend this movie to anyone? Yeah, I think everybody needs to watch it, man, and capture them layers. And would I change anything to this movie? Nah, I wouldn't change a thing, man. I thought it was a good movie, how it played out. Now I'm going to toss it over to Casey Fred, because the boy Jerk just cooked.
Oh, man. So what is your rating, and why would you give the movie that rating? I gave it a 3, on the verge of a 2. I don't think anybody has said anything to really raise up the score, but you guys have been mentioning a lot of things that would really lower the score, to be honest with you. Would I recommend this movie to anyone? I would definitely say no. In fact, if the truth be told, I would not spend a dime. I had a friend of mine who used to say I wouldn't spend a quarter. That's where I'm at on this. No. Like I said at the beginning, I felt like Any Given Sunday hit Freddy Krueger like in the mouth, and it was just going downhill ever since. What did you think of the plot and the storyline? At the beginning, I really thought, like I said, the thing that you kept hearing from the quote, which actually came from the daddy that his son, Cam adopted, was no guts, no glory. So if you was willing to go ahead and go the extra mile, then you was willing to be able to chase your dreams and see it into fruition. I get that. In fact, most football players or sports athletes really believe in that motto. But at the end of the day, I have to agree with Jerk, there was a lot of demonic stuff and a lot of stuff where all of a sudden you were seeing the ugly side of it, of what it really takes for a lot of people. Or at least that's how they felt. That was the only way for them to get ahead. I would say, and it was really downhill, because at the end of the day, I give you the 2 scenarios that really caught my eye. Was one of them was where they talked about the different pyramids. Cam said, so what is your motto? And he said, well, God first, family, and then football. And then all of a sudden Isaiah says, nah, man, flip that. You know what I'm saying? It's football, then family, then God. And it just, right then and there, you just saw how Isaiah all of a sudden made football his idol, instead of all of a sudden God, who created him and gave him that talent in the first place. That should have been his answer. And Cam saw that, because that's the way he was brought up. That's what his dad taught him. And then all of a sudden he was saying, man, something is just different, something is off. And it was like Isaiah was like the only person that really kind of kept him there, because he kept looking up to him. He had been looking up to him ever since he was little. And it's been basically 14 years ever since he saw on TV of what he was willing to sacrifice and go through to be able to stay on top and be the GOAT. And then Isaiah all of a sudden says to him, well, what is it going to take for you to be that GOAT? And at the end of the day, it was just like he kept being pushed and kept being pushed. And then the second scenario that I saw was the layer of regret. And basically how that began was when all of a sudden he met the doctor. The doctor was the one that all of a sudden kept giving them the shots and kept giving them the prescriptions and kept giving them the steroids, and then eventually started giving him the blood. But at the end of the day, he had regrets because he's been doing this for such a long time with Isaiah. And then now all of a sudden realize that Cam's a good kid, and I got to all of a sudden, because of the way we are set up, I got to start all of a sudden doing that to Cam. I don't feel right about this. And so it was just like, he was like having second thoughts like, hey, man, I need to tell you the truth, man. I don't think this is a good fit for you. And honestly, he had the word run. He said, what you should do, you should run. In fact, there was a needle that all of a sudden said run on it that he all of a sudden ended up taking and almost putting it right there in his heart to be able to get his body after it had been drained from them taking blood from him. And so it was just like it got to the point where all of a sudden there could only be one. And that was another thing that really, when I said the scenes or the actresses or the actor that really sold it, I felt like Isaiah and Cam was on it, because at the end of the day, Jet Li had a movie and it was called The One. And there was like all these different versions of him and all these different worlds and stuff. And each time they had to fight to be able to see who would be the best. And then that person could live and the other person had to die. And so in a sense, when it came down to basically towards the end of the movie, Isaiah said, hey, it's either going to be you or it's going to be me. And at the end of the day, hey, I think I can go ahead and probably just keep on going. And then, but if you want it, you're going to have to take it from me, because I'm not going to just give it to you. And so, and Cam was like, is that how it's going to be? And so all of a sudden, when at first, Isaiah was go ahead and putting in that work on Cam, but then Cam realized, like, dude, you really trying to kill me. And so then Cam, of course, being younger, being stronger, and let's not forget, both of them were on even still, because Cam found out he was getting blood, and so was Isaiah getting blood originally from each person that came before them. Now, I don't know how they were saving all this blood from all these people, but that's what Isaiah told him. He said, yeah, man, would you think this blood was coming from? It was coming from me and the mentor before that, and the mentor before that, and the mentor before that. And that's why you saw those different, they finally showed you all the different uniforms of the people that came before them. And he said, but there's only one person that's going to leave this tunnel. It's either going to be you or me. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be me. And that's what Isaiah said to Cam. And so then Cam had to all of a sudden say, hey, that's not how I was brought up. But I'm going to tell you right now, what you're not going to do is go ahead and take my life. And so he realized that all of a sudden he wasn't going to let nobody take him out. And he realized that when he had that crazy fan and he was supposed to be relaxing in a sauna or something like that, if I remember correctly. And all of a sudden she had a stone or a rock and was really about to take it to his head. And all of a sudden he opened his eyes and got out the way. And then all of a sudden was really ready to choke her and kill her. And then Isaiah stepped in. And then Isaiah ended up killing her anyway. And so then all of a sudden he knew right then and there his hands weren't clean. And he tried to apologize about it. But he finally started, I think at the beginning, that's when slowly but surely you start realizing that, hey, man, this really turns you. This is not what I signed up for. This is not what I was trying to do. This is not who I am or who I want to be. And yet at the end of the day, Isaiah kept pushing him until at the very end, he had to finally make a decision. And when he realized Isaiah was going to either kill or be killed, that's when all of a sudden it had to come down, and he was the one that came out the tunnel. And at that realization, I've already killed the man. I don't want to do this no more. And if it takes all of a sudden me getting out of this sport just so that way I can live, because one thing, this is not my dream. I was trying to live the dream of someone else, and so be it. I'm out. But you know what? The thing about it was, like I said, Jerk had it right. The guys, the owners, they said flat out, "Hey, we will kill your family." The wife of Isaiah was like, "Man, let's go ahead and just take him out." And then all of a sudden, he's showing the vampire woman. That's Elsie right there. That tried to go ahead and come after him. And then next thing you know, Kabuya, she tripped over her own sword or something like that with her dress and took her own self out. But the other ones, he flipped out. He flipped out when you said he was going to come after his family, because that was not his motto. His motto was always God, family, then football. And now that all of a sudden he realized football was not exactly what he wanted to be, and he wasn't going to let that be his idol, nah, he was done. And then next thing you know, boom, here comes the killing. And we could have just closed it right there, but nah, once again, this had to be a horror film. So it's like the most extreme measures had to be taking place. And I just felt like at the end, if the directors or producers could do anything, I would scratch all that horror stuff, because there was enough material in there to be able to show it that exactly how the ugliness of football can really be. And like Jerk was saying, the people that are around you either can make you or break you. And I felt like that was the thing. And Cam was like, you know what? Y'all didn't make me. And I'm definitely telling y'all are not going to break me. And then that's when he started putting in that work. So that's where I was with that. Like I said, if they would have took out the horror, then I could have been up there with y'all with a 6 or 7. But because they put that horror in, I said, you know what? Nah, man, this got to go back in like bad, trash, terrible situations. So that's where I'm at with that. Do I recommend it to nobody? Nah. In fact, if truth be told, if this wasn't on the list, I promise you, I probably wouldn't see this movie. But that's where I'm at with that. 3 it is.
All right. Yeah, they had to put the horror in because they wanted to stop, man. That they was too cultish and too deep. But all right, we'll go to the next rating again. So if anybody's gonna change their score, go up, go down, stay the same, this is your time to do it. So we're gonna start with Wally, man. You gonna stay the same, go up or down, or?
So I didn't add this part in there. Would I recommend this movie to anyone? Yeah, I recommend it for home. Don't ever go watch this in the theaters. This was not theater level. This was not theater level. Watch it at home. Yeah, no, I'm gonna stay at 6.
Okay, so Wally staying
probably
at
when probably when I rewatch it, I'll probably give it higher, but right now, staying at 6.
Y'all missed them layers, man. I'm gonna have to bump it up just like 7.2. 7.2. I'm going up from 7.1 to 7.2. I'm still in very good territory. Shout out to the makers of this movie, capturing all the different dynamics and making it highly entertaining. All right, Casey Fred.
You know, that cracks me up because I don't even know why you even said from 7.1 to 7.2. If that was a thermostat, would you even feel that? No. See, that's what I'm saying. It'd be different if you would have said, yeah, I'm going ahead and give it an 8. No, that's how I know good doggone well, hey, nobody was really feeling this movie. In fact, let me show you what time it is. Let's take it 3 and go down to 2. See what I'm saying? Now you feel that little coldness that
All right, so Casey Fred went from 3 to 2, which is in between trash and terrible. He's definitely wilding out. But all right, amazing.
I'm gonna stick with 7. Again, you have to watch it from beginning to end, though. Otherwise,
I got pushback.
Look, Fred,
no. See,
at
the beginning, he was a kid, but then when Amazing starts seeing abs on the young man, now you want to bump up the score to a 7. See, I already see you coming.
Wait, that's your pushback? What the hell?
She said once I saw the whole movie and saw his abs, that's when I knew we had to push it up to 7. So
the 12-pack.
I mean, shoot, if we're going based on that logic, then your whole freaking score is horrible because your only logic against this movie is the fact that it has horror in it.
Hey, but I'm consistent.
Thanks, Wally.
All the horror movies have been bad. See what I'm saying?
I think it's. I agree that this is not. I feel like it's such a disservice what they're doing to horror movie or the labels of horror they're using nowadays is a true disservice to true horror movies.
Why do you think I've been over here taglining the horrible marketing?
I agree, Wally.
And that's why I give it a 2.
Y'all tripping. Definitely had a lot of good levels to it. I like levels, man. I like the symbolism that they capture. But y'all check it out. Let us know what y'all think. But we out of here. Peace.